My young friend, when you look at celebrities, you often see only the gleaming surface of fame. The red carpets, the private jets, the diamond-sharp flash of cameras capturing an image polished to perfection. What you do not see, what the untrained eye cannot fathom, is the immense machinery humming beneath that glamour. A machinery built not of gold and glitter, but of structures, strategies, and shields designed to protect wealth from erosion. It is tempting to believe that the riches of these public figures are the result of talent alone. But in truth, the truly enduring fortunes of celebrities are preserved not through mere stardom, but through ancient financial principles disguised in modern legal wrappers. From the dynasties of old emperors who hid their treasures behind layers of stewards and guardians, to the families of modern Hollywood legends structuring their estates across continents, the essence remains unchanged. Wealth that is not protected will be devoured by time, taxes, and the voracious appetites of those who seek a piece of what they did not earn. And so, let me open for you a scroll that few novices are ever allowed to glimpse. The scroll that reveals how the mighty protect what the world tries endlessly to take from them. Celebrities begin with the first truth of wealth. Income is fleeting, but structures endure. A famous athlete might earn $100 million in a decade. Yet without fortified planning, they will find themselves like fallen kings whose castles were built on sand. This is why the first tactic they employ is the creation of trusts, not merely as legal entities, but as financial fortresses that separate the individual from their assets. A trust, you see, is like placing your treasure in a guarded vault whose key no longer fits your own hand directly. It creates distance, and in that distance lies protection. Public lawsuits cannot easily pierce it. Predatory claimants struggle to reach for it. Even tax collectors, armed with the tools of modern compliance, find themselves slowed by its intricate architecture. A celebrity might place real estate, intellectual property royalties, or even future earnings into a revocable or irrevocable trust, each crafted with the precision of a master artisan who knows exactly how light falls on every facet of a diamond. But trusts alone do not form the entire shield. No. What truly separates the wealthy from the merely well-paid is their relationship with tax strategy. Many celebrities live in countries where income taxes are tall and estate taxes stand like giants, ready to claim half of whatever is passed to the next generation. Ordinary people accept these rules as unchangeable. Extraordinary individuals learn to bend them through legal frameworks that have existed for centuries. For example, they may shift ownership of assets into a trust located in a jurisdiction with favorable rules. They may convert active income into passive income, then into long-term capital gains. They may defer compensation so that taxes are paid in years where income brackets are lower. They may surround themselves with a triad of advisors, attorney, tax strategist, and investment manager, whose combined wisdom forms a moat deeper than any medieval fortress. And while the public sometimes cries out that such strategies are unfair, the wise understand that governments themselves wrote these rules to encourage long-term investment, economic growth, and the preservation of family wealth. One of the most fascinating tactics celebrities employ is the use of corporate entities, often called loan-out corporations, production companies, or personal service corporations. Imagine yourself a performer who earns tens of millions from endorsements, appearances, or performances. If you receive all of that money personally, you are taxed at the highest possible rate. And every lawsuit against you becomes a direct threat. But if your corporation receives that money first, suddenly the game changes. The corporation pays business expenses, homes used for production, travel required for appearances, staff salaries, and even certain types of insurance, all before taxes are calculated. This transforms tax from a punitive drain into an elegant instrument, reducing liabilities while increasing control. Lawsuits become less direct, because claimants must now pursue the corporation rather than the individual. Moreover, corporations allow celebrities to build wealth in layers, shielded from personal mistakes, impulsive spending, or the volatility of fame. Another tactic, subtle yet immensely powerful, is privacy through dispersion. The wealthy rarely own assets in their own names. Their real estate might be held by a trust whose trustee is an attorney. Their vehicles might belong to a corporation. Their intellectual property might be licensed through a holding company. If you search for a celebrity's ownership records, you might find nothing but a maze of initials, legal entities, and addresses that lead nowhere. This is deliberate, for in the world of wealth, visibility is vulnerability. Lawsuits follow those who appear to have deep pockets. Paparazzi stalk those whose addresses become public. Opportunists emerge like shadows around a lantern. The wise conceal their light behind protective screens. But let us not forget the emotional dimension of celebrity wealth protection. Fame attracts not only money, but also people, friends, advisors, romances, opportunists, all orbiting like planets around a star. Many celebrities lose fortunes not through taxes or legal attacks but through misplaced trust. Thus, the wealthy establish family governance structures, often built around a small council of long-term advisors who act as guardians of the estate. They implement financial controls that prevent impulsive withdrawals. They use trusts that limit a beneficiary's access until maturity. They create investment committees that evaluate each opportunity with sober eyes. In essence, they create a system where money is governed not by emotion but by principle. Then comes the realm of insurance, the invisible shield. Celebrities insure everything: homes, vehicles, careers, even body parts. Because risk is the silent assassin of wealth. A singer may insure their voice. An athlete may insure their legs. A film star may insure themselves against production delays. Liability insurance protects them from lawsuits. Disability insurance protects their future earnings. And umbrella policies sit above all else, like a towering guardian. Insurance is often overlooked by novices, yet it is one of the oldest wealth protection tools in human history, used by merchants who sailed across dangerous seas with goods that could vanish in a single storm. The principle is unchanged. Transfer catastrophic risk to those who can bear it. Beyond these shields lies the final tactic: legacy planning, the art of ensuring that wealth flows from generation to generation without losing its potency. Celebrities, much like ancient nobles, know that wealth without continuity is like water in cupped hands. It slips away quickly. Estate taxes can take half of a fortune if unplanned. Creditors can seize generational assets. Children, if unprepared, may squander their inheritance within years. To combat this, the wealthy create dynasty trusts, generation-skipping trusts, charitable foundations, and donor-advised funds. Some leave letters of intent explaining how wealth should be used. Others build educational structures to train their heirs in stewardship. This is not merely financial planning. It is an act of legacy, a way of speaking to descendants long after one's own voice has faded. Now, you may ask why these tactics matter to someone who is not a celebrity. The truth, my young companion, is that celebrity wealth strategies are simply magnified versions of principles that every person can and should apply. They are not tools reserved for the rich. They are tools that make someone rich. Tools that preserve what has taken years of sweat to accumulate. Even a modest estate can benefit from a trust. Even a small business can gain from tax planning. Even an ordinary family can protect themselves with insurance and privacy. The deeper lesson is that wealth is not protected by chance. It is protected by structure, foresight, and discipline. And discipline, as you will learn, is the true currency of prosperity. But perhaps the most profound truth is this: wealth invites attack. The moment you begin to climb, forces will rise to pull you down. Taxes, lawsuits, bad advice, poor spending, market volatility, the expectations of others, and the whispers of self-doubt. Celebrities understand this because they experience it in extreme form. Their wealth is under constant siege from publicity, opportunists, and the insatiable curiosity of the world. Thus, they become masters of defense. They build layers of protection so thick that by the time danger reaches their fortune, the threat is already weakened. This is the mindset you must cultivate. You do not build walls because you fear the world. You build them because you honor what you have created. So let me take you deeper still, into the rhythms of how these tactics intertwine. A celebrity may first place their income into a corporation. That corporation may route its intellectual property earnings into a holding entity. That holding entity may transfer its shares into a trust. That trust may distribute income into a foundation that manages charitable giving. That foundation may reinvest in long-term assets shielded from capital gains. This, my young investor, is not complexity for its own sake. It is the choreography of financial immortality. Each layer reduces risk, optimizes tax efficiency, and distances the individual from the assets. Wealth is no longer a fragile egg held in open palms. It is a stone, sealed within stones, protected by design rather than luck. And just as the old masters taught that every fortress must be tested by storms to reveal its weaknesses, so too must wealth structures be reviewed, revised, and strengthened. Tax laws change. Economic cycles shift. Families grow. Reputations rise and fall. That is why the wise do not simply build wealth. They maintain it with vigilance. They review their trusts yearly. They audit their corporations. They prune unnecessary expenses. They adjust insurance coverage. They evolve. Because wealth that does not evolve begins to decay. This is the ancestral heartbeat of financial longevity. And it is the quiet secret behind every fortune that survives time. And now we approach the edge of a deeper revelation. One that few understand until they have lost something precious. Wealth is not merely money. It is a narrative, a structure of meaning built upon decisions, values, and the courage to think ahead. Celebrities protect their wealth not because they are greedy, but because they know that fame is temporary, while legacy is eternal. And as we continue, I will show you how these strategies intertwine not only to preserve wealth, but to magnify it, transforming temporary success into something far more enduring, far more resilient, far more capable of standing against the storms of time and the relentless pressures that seem to rise from every direction, as though the world itself were testing the integrity of the structures they have built. And it is in this crucible of scrutiny that the true sophistication of celebrity wealth protection reveals itself through patterns that echo the practices of ancient merchant guilds, royal treasuries, and timeless dynasties. For the essence of safeguarding fortune has never truly changed, even as the tools have evolved into forms that dazzle the modern mind. As we journey further, you must understand that the shields celebrities erect around their wealth are not independent pieces, but parts of a grand symphony, each section reinforcing the others, in a rhythm that rewards foresight and punishes complacency. This is why the wise among them treat their financial architects, attorneys, tax strategists, asset managers as indispensable custodians of their legacy, not mere service providers. They know that in a world where laws shift like sand dunes in strong winds, a single oversight can unravel decades of disciplined construction. Consider, for example, how a dynasty trust works in harmony with a personal corporation. Income first flows into the corporation, where expenses are trimmed and tax efficiency is shaped with deliberate care. Then, residual profits move into a trust that stands beyond the reach of creditors, lawsuits, or personal missteps. Within this trust, assets grow untaxed across generations, compounding at a pace that ordinary individuals rarely witness. If the celebrity also establishes a charitable foundation, part of their wealth migrates into a domain of philanthropic purpose, generating tax deductions, while also amplifying their public image with an aura of benevolence. Yet underneath this show of generosity lies a deeper strategy. Assets, placed into such structures, often appreciate without triggering capital gains, creating a reservoir of influence that can endure for centuries if managed wisely. And then there is the matter of intellectual property, the hidden goldmine of the modern age. Celebrities seldom own their likeness, trademarks, or royalties under their personal name. Instead, these intangible treasures are held within a specialized entity, a holding company designed to negotiate licensing, endorsements, distribution rights, and merchandising deals. This not only centralizes revenue, but shields the most valuable asset a celebrity possesses: their identity. Should a lawsuit arise, the plaintiff cannot easily claim the revenue derived from intellectual property because it exists behind a wall built on legal precedent and contractual precision. Thus, the wealth continues to flow even when the individual faces turmoil. Just as ancient traders stored their spices in distant warehouses, so that a storm sinking one ship would not destroy their entire enterprise. But wealth protection goes beyond legal structures and enters the field of psychological mastery. The greatest fortunes are often lost not through flawed tax planning, but through emotional vulnerability. Fame magnifies desire and distorts judgment. It traps many in a cycle of overspending, lavish generosity, and ill-conceived investments pitched by friends, lovers, or fleeting acquaintances. This is why the disciplined celebrity creates strict cash flow systems, investment committees, and spending limits. They separate their personal life from their financial life with almost ceremonial formality. Every dollar is given a purpose. Every investment is interrogated. Every risk is weighed against legacy rather than impulse. Those who fail to practice this discipline often serve as cautionary tales. For the world remembers the tragedies of squandered fortunes more vividly than the quiet triumphs of those who preserved them. Yet the most powerful tactic of all, one that transcends trust laws and corporate shields, is the cultivation of financial invisibility. A celebrity who reveals nothing becomes nearly untouchable. They appear modestly wealthy while quietly controlling a financial empire that no outsider can map. Their homes are owned by numbered entities. Their investments are spread across jurisdictions. Their contractual negotiations occur through intermediaries. This invisibility is not deception, it is self-preservation. To be seen is to be targeted. To be opaque is to be protected. Even royalty practice this, hiding their treasuries behind walls of stewards and silent custodians. The principle has merely adapted to the digital age, where privacy is both rarer and more valuable than gold. And as we draw closer to the heart of this lesson, my young investor, understand that wealth protection is not an act of fear, but an act of respect. Respect for the time, effort, sacrifice, and discipline that created the fortune in the first place. Celebrities who survive the storms of fame recognize that money does not stay merely because it has arrived. It stays because it has been invited into a structure worthy of hosting it. Wealth is like a skilled bird. It rests only in hands that are steady, patient, and prepared. The reckless grasp at it and frighten it away. The wise build a sanctuary for it, and the bird returns again and again. So let the closing of this tale bring you not only knowledge but transformation. The tactics of celebrities, trusts, corporations, tax engineering, privacy architecture, insurance fortresses, and legacy systems are not distant tools reserved for the elite. They are simply the polished forms of universal financial truths that apply to anyone who seeks to rise. If you earn even a modest income, you can create a budgetary trust through disciplined allocation. If you own a small business, you can use corporate structures to optimize taxes. If you desire to build generational wealth, you can begin today with insurance, education, and intention. Wealth does not ask whether you are famous. It only asks whether you are prepared. And that, young one, is the essence of enduring prosperity. To stand not in the spotlight of fleeting fame, but in the quiet, unshakable strength of a well-built financial foundation. Celebrities merely reveal the strategy. Your task is to apply it. Build structures, safeguard your assets, think beyond yourself, and shape a financial legacy that will continue even when your name has faded from the world's memory. For in the end, the true measure of wealth is not what you gather, but what you protect, preserve, and pass forward. And now, as this narrative comes to rest like an elder placing a scroll back into its rightful chest, let me urge you gently, but firmly, reflect on what you have learned. Leave a comment sharing the insight that struck you deepest, for wisdom grows when spoken aloud. And if these lessons stir something within you, subscribe to this channel, where the ancient laws of wealth meet the demands of the modern age, so that you may continue to walk this path with clarity, strength, and sovereign understanding.